Welcome back to my YouTube channel. First of all, I wanted to say thanks to everyone for watching and thank you to anyone who reached out after Arizona for the support. It really does make an athlete feel good to feel so loved and supported by fans and friends and family and anyone. So thank you. I thought with this, I would go through at the beginning of each discipline and talk about the equipment that I use because I do often get questions about what I'm using, and then that's just a nice way for me to plug and represent my sponsors. So let's get started. IRONMAN Arizona, first of all, was probably the most fun I've had in a long time, especially at a race, staying with my friend Renee Kiley and my sister Quincy. We just had so much fun leading into the race and then even after the race. Like, it was just really, really good vibes, lots of laughs, lots of fun. So that was awesome. Regardless of the race outcome, like, the weekend was so much fun and such a good memory for me. The race didn't exactly go the way I was hoping to execute it and have it go, but that is racing and that's why we race. So, race morning was good, got quite a bit of sleep the night before, which is always nice, and quite a bit of sleep to me would be 6 to 7 hours the night before a race. That's solid. Wasn't nearly as cold as I thought it would be. I thought it would be like low 40s, and I think it was like 52 Fahrenheit when we woke up, so that was a nice surprise. And yeah, we got down to transition, pretty low drama, got everything set up, and then just headed down to the swim start. So for the swim, I am sponsored by DeBoer wetsuits, and I chose to wear the Flow 2.0, and the Flow is the cold water wetsuit. And I should also mention that I also am sponsored by Form Swim Smart Goggles, and this is actually a question I get asked a lot, is if I race in the Form goggles. I do not race in them. I love the goggles and would never swim in the pool without them, but in a race scenario, I'm strictly focused on like executing a swim, swimming as hard as I can, staying on feet. That's just top priority for me. So to have all the metrics, it would be nice, but yeah, I'm just solely focused on having the clearest vision possible and just all focus on who I'm swimming with and the course and everything. So anyway, there's my wetsuit. I just wear a different pair of goggles, and I chose to wear quite a clear pair for this Arizona race because it's extremely dark. Like, sunrise was 7 a.m. and the race started at 6:45. So it's extremely dark when the gun goes off in Arizona. The water was freezing. The water was just as cold as I thought it would be. But I was expecting that. So it was no surprise. I was expecting to just freeze my face off. So I got in like 5 minutes, I think right after the men started, I got in the water and did some quick, pickups, turnovers, just to get the shock of the cold water and my arms moving and heart rate spike a little bit, ready for the gun to go off. So the race started. I didn't get out particularly well. I don't know, like my speed maybe just wasn't there, or everyone else was just as fast and maybe I got sucked back, but I was right kind of with everyone. And there was a turn buoy literally like 40 seconds in, however long that is. And I knew that would be a little bit hectic having a turn buoy that close to the start of the swim. I was trying to get on Sarah True's feet because I knew she was probably my best chance of being on someone's feet, because I figured it was Lauren Brandon, Sarah True, and then probably me was the next like swimmer. I was right behind her, and then we got to the turn buoy and I could see her just like pull through the turn buoy. I literally swam, I think I swam over Renee actually, we figured out. So I literally like swam over people because I'm just moving forward, not trying to be malicious, but I'm just trying to get through the turn buoy, and I just watched Sarah pull away, and I pushed hard and tried to catch her before the next turn buoy, but it's like once even a few meters opens up, it's just hard to get back on. So I swam hard and then she just pulled away. So I was like, okay, let's just swim well. And yeah, I swam solo. I would say like halfway through or so, definitely the last third, I was like freezing in the water. And I wore a cold water wetsuit. So obviously I need to wear like the next level of cold water wetsuit. The water was just so cold. And yeah, that was kind of motivation to pick up the tempo and try to push harder just to like create some more body heat. But it also makes it quite challenging when you just get like frozen. So it wasn't horrible, but it was like, I am cold. Definitely like something popping into your head as you're trying to swim hard. Got out, could tell my hands and my feet were frozen. But yeah, I had to get my suit up, run through transition, which is a very long transition. And then I decided we had to use this gear bag. And I decided to only put a pair of socks in the gear bag and then run to my bike and do everything there. Which in hindsight wasn't the best idea because I had a camera on me, and like between having frozen hands, frozen feet, and then a camera on me, I just feel like it was the worst T1 of my life. Putting socks on with wet frozen feet and frozen hands is harder than putting socks on after the bike. So I think I would change that next time and maybe not do that. But anyway, I committed, full committed, got the socks on. So for the bike, I'm in my Ossos tri-suit, and then I have my Trek Speed Concept, and the gear that I decided to ride, I rode the Zip 858 hookless front, and then the Zip Super 9 rear, and rode those both tubeless. And then my gearing selection, I kept the same as what I had for Kona. SRAM 2x 5643 front chain rings, and then a 1028 cassette in the back. And I'm really happy with my gearing choice because the 56 was definitely used on the downhill with the tailwind, slight downhill with the tailwind. So it was really, really windy, definitely some crosswinds in sections. And I did definitely get like, you know, jolted about a bit, but I was never like, I never felt unsafe or afraid, or like, I never thought, oh, I should have used a shallower wheel in the front. Like, it was totally fine. Anyway, I knew Sarah was ahead of me getting onto the bike, so I just was like, okay, let's go catch Sarah. And I feel like I caught her pretty quickly. And I knew I didn't want to have Sarah get off the bike with me, and I knew I didn't want to tow her around on the bike. And I thought I could try to drop her, but that proved to be more difficult than I thought. So I decided to stay behind her for the first half of the loop. There's 3 loops. First half is uphill, second half is slight downhill, and then in this case, the uphill was into headwind and the downhill was tailwind. So I just stayed behind her till we got to the turnaround, and then once we got a little past the turnaround, so at this point we're tailwind. I didn't want to pass into the headwind because I didn't think I'd get very far and it'd be easier for her to stay with me. And the tailwind downhill, I was like, hey, I have a huge gearing, like I can push really hard. So I tried to make a move after the turnaround, and I didn't look back. I pushed pretty hard for like 8 to 10 minutes. I don't know exactly how long. And I guess I probably should have pushed for longer, or maybe just stayed behind Sarah the whole time. I don't know, because I'm guessing in her head she's like, I just have to stay with Sky because then I'll outrun her. And in my head I'm like, I just need to not have Sarah behind me on the bike because she'll outrun me, most likely. Not that I wasn't confident in my run, but I know that Sarah on paper is definitely a better runner than me, and if she was in good shape, it wouldn't be easy for me to run with her or outrun her. Anyway, she was biking really well and stayed with me. I finally looked back and she was still there, so I was like, okay. And then the second and third loop, you know, it gets interesting because there's a ton of age groupers on the course. So it's a little trickier to like put your head down and go hard, and a little trickier to even navigate. There's people everywhere. So a lot of people messaged me and were like, oh, looks like you like spent the whole day on the front, or like, oh, looks like you were pulling the whole time, blah, blah, blah. And it probably looked like that, but I will say I was working with a male pro, Clodian. He is actually from Utah, so when I saw him go by, I was like, I'm not losing his wheel, because he would be good to work with, or, you know, I don't want to spend the whole day on the front with Sarah behind me. So Claudian he spent a lot of time with his head in the wind, and so did I, but it was really helpful to have Claudian working with me, so shout out Claudian. He did a lot of the pulling into the headwind, and I did more of the pushing into the tailwind. Although I did on the third loop move into the headwind and make a bigger effort. I do love grinding uphill, like in a big gear, low cadence. So I thought I'll try to put in a big effort and see what happens. Yeah, we got off the bike together, Claudia, Sarah, and me. And since I already had socks on, I got through transition really quickly and exited T2 first. And just tried to run my best, and gear for the run. I got some questions on this. I wore the Hoka Rocket X2, I think is what they're called. They're prototype right now. Hoka gave me a pair to try, and I've been testing them since Kona, and I actually have really liked them. They feel really good for me. I've been training in them, so it's kind of what I was used to, and I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna try racing in them. And yeah, no regrets on that. And I knew Sarah would be able to close the gap quite quickly, and she did. And then I just kind of let her do her thing, and I was staying close, and then we came back together, and it all felt really comfortable, because the beginning of a marathon always feels comfortable, but we weren't running that crazy. Okay, I take it back. The beginning of marathons don't always feel comfortable. Kona did not feel comfortable in the beginning of that marathon. But like, if you're feeling generally good, the beginning of the marathon, the pace you're running, it really isn't that fast compared to like what you're capable of. So it feels really comfortable. And in my mind, I was like, okay, I do want to run a fast marathon. I believe I have that in me. And I had, some pace in my head that I thought was reasonable to be going for. And so, yeah, I just tried to stick as close to Sarah as I could. And I noticed that I was really only losing a few seconds here and there at the beginning because of aid stations. Like, she would just take one thing of water and I would take like 4, or like grab a gel here or there. So I just thought, okay, well, keep being smart. Like, it's not worth skipping an aid station or blowing through an aid station, especially for calories. Like, that's where the beginning of the marathon, everything seems fine, and then things can kind of shift towards the end, and I definitely wanted to finish as strong as I could. It took a while, and then she really pulled away and put some time into me towards the end. But anyway, I really wanted to run a sub-3 marathon regardless of what place I was in. So I was pushing for that. I didn't start my watch, which my watch, by the way, forgot to mention, I use the Garmin Forerunner 955 Solar. And on the bike, I use the Edge 830 when I'm racing. Anyway, so I didn't start my watch until about a kilometer in. So I didn't know exactly what time I was running, but I knew it was gonna be really close to a 3-hour marathon, or a sub 3, or maybe just slightly over. So I was pushing really hard and just really, like, I was really fighting for it. My quads were pinching so bad. Like, the Arizona run course is all, not all, but like mostly all on very hard cement, which is harder than asphalt. So it's on very, very hard cement, and I remember that from years past, and it really just like chews your quads up pretty good. So I was definitely feeling that by the end, the last 10K. But I just tried to focus on, like relaxing my body and just getting my turnover going and not focusing on my quads hurting. And yeah, I didn't get a sub 3-hour marathon. I did not run a sub 3-hour marathon. I think it was like 3 hours and 30 seconds or something. But I tried really, really hard. And for me, that was actually my fastest marathon of the year. Out of the 4 Ironmans that I've done, in St. George, I ran 3:04. In Des Moines, I ran 3:06 with a toilet stop. And then Kona was 3:19 or something with a barf stop. And then, 3 hours pretty much flat in Arizona with a pretty drama-free run. So yeah, I need to run faster. Like, that's where I am losing ground in races now, which is like, I mean, it all comes down to the run, right? So I definitely want to, I feel like I'm capable of running faster. I love running. I've done more running than anything else in my life out of swim, bike, run. So I know that that is where I need to improve if I want to. Well, I need to improve everywhere, but like the run is where you can win it or lose it. So I don't know, I guess you can win it and lose it in every discipline, but I guess my point is, like, Sarah and I got off the bike together, and the only reason I didn't win is because she outran me. So I need to be a faster runner, amongst other things. So anyway, I was really happy with my effort. I really did stay positive throughout the race, and, you know, just really tried to enjoy it and embrace like the suffering and the pain of getting through the marathon and even the bike sometimes. So I'm happy with my performance and my effort and my mindset and the placement. I mean, there's only one winner, so I guess I was the first loser. But I got my Kona slot, which is huge because that is one of the big things I wanted to accomplish by doing this race. So yeah, I really can't be, I'm happy with it. And for an end of season, after like a big season, and, you know, I don't know, it wasn't like the most amazing year for me, so to end it on a pretty good note was good. So there is my recap. I'm trying to think if I forgot anything. We just had a lot of fun. The race was good. And now I'm really happy to be home and enjoying downtime and just kind of doing what I want to do and hanging with friends and family, trying some new restaurants, things like that. So yeah, I think I'll do an end of year like summary YouTube video. If you guys have any questions about the year, any of my racing or anything at all, I would love to hear them. You can add them in the comments below. I think that's it. I think I covered everything. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. It's so hard, like every single time.